boys and girls. If you've tuned in to this video, you have chosen it because you would like to create a poster of your George Washington information. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what you have to do with the information and then show you how to take that information, that fact fragment that you found last week, and make it into a stronger sentence so that you can add it to your poster. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to find something. Well, let's talk first about the fact fragments. So if we go back and look at our notes, you're going to need your notes from last week. So if we go back and look at our notes from last week, I looked at early life. And these were the notes that I had. Mary and Augustine were George's parents. His father died when George was 11. His brother Lawrence raised him. And then I also had George became a surveyor when he was 17. So you only need to choose one of these facts from early life, and that's what you're going to put on your poster. So I decided to take George became a surveyor when he was 17. So I know that I could add on to that a little bit more than what I have here. So I went back into the epic story, and I'm going to go back to the early life paragraph or early life chapter. And I'm going to find that part where it talks about how he was a surveyor. So when I skim and scan these two pages, I don't see it. So I'm going to go back to the next page. And lo and behold, it's right here. And it says, George used his knowledge to become a surveyor when he was only 17. So yes, that I already had that as my notes, but I want to add more to that to make it stronger. So I'm going to use this information that's up here in the what is it. So it says, what is a surveyor? A surveyor measures land in all its hills and valleys. The measurements are used in maps and to help people know where to build. Surveying is a type of math. George's math skills helped him to be a good surveyor. So I know that he was a surveyor when he was 17, but I want to add to that to make my fact fragment stronger. So if I go back to my copy of notes, I'm going to scroll down a little bit so you can see where I've added that. You don't have to add this to your notes. You can just add it to a piece of paper, however you want to display it. But I used my first part where it says George became a surveyor when he was 17, but then I wanted to add on to that to make it stronger. So I said a surveyor measures land, including hills and valleys, and George needed to be good at math to be a surveyor. So this is a much stronger piece of information than just George became a surveyor when he was 17. So you need to do the same thing for both Gentleman Farmer and the first president. So let me do the Gentleman Farmer one with you too. So it says he became a part of Virginia's government for 15 years. He was a leader, or he was a very good farmer, set up fisheries, a mill, and ironworks. So I'm going to go back to the epic story. I'm going to go to the Gentleman Farmer paragraph, and I'm going to talk about this farming paragraph. So it said George was a good farmer. He read everything he could about farming. He tried new and better ways to farm. To improve his plantation, he set up fisheries, a mill, and an ironworks. So I'm going to also read this information here to see if I can add anything onto my fact fragment. So it says, what are they? George had many businesses. A fishery is a special place for hatching and catching fish. A mill grinds wheat and other grains and turns them into flour. An ironworks is a place where workers can make things and build with iron. George used all these to help him on his plantation. This made his plantation more profitable. So I think I want to add this piece here because then it does show that he was setting up new ways to farm, and it became more profitable, meaning he earned more money for that. So if I go back to my copy of notes, I'm going to take he was a very good farmer, set up fisheries, a mill, and ironworks, and I'm going to type that down here. So I'll make it bigger so that you guys can see it. George, oops, it would help if I started with a capital. George was an excellent farmer. He set up fisheries, a mill, and let's go back to see what we had in our notes, and an ironworks on his plantation. And then we can say this made his plantation profitable. That information I took from Epic. So then I would take that information and put that onto my poster. And then you need to do the same thing for the first president. So look at your information that you had there, add on to it to make it stronger, and then you'll be ready to do your poster. So when we go and look at what we need to include on the poster, you need to include obviously George Washington, your name, a picture of George Washington, the date, his birth date and the date that he died, and then just what we talked about here, early life in a complete sentence, gentleman farmer in a complete sentence, the first president information in a complete sentence, and an interesting fact in a complete sentence. And then you can decide how you want to put that information on your poster. And you can either share your poster one of two ways. You can either share it in a Flipgrid, or you can bring it to your morning meeting when you have your morning meeting with your homeroom teacher, and you can share it that way. So then that poster would actually then be due the following week on the 19th. We'll change that date because depending on who you have for your homeroom, you'll either have your morning meeting on the 18th or the 19th of May. And then I'll show you the starting of my poster. So if you look at my poster, you can see that I started it. So I want you to think about Earth Day. So my kids had Tony's Pizza for lunch the other day. So I just cut that off and I used that as my poster piece. And then you can see that I put George Washington in the middle. So I haven't finished it yet, but I put when he was born up here. And then I put when he died down here, and then that information about him becoming a surveyor, I put here. So then I can add all of my other facts anywhere I want on the poster, and then I'm going to include a picture of George Washington. So this just gives you an idea of how you can start it. But remember, whatever you have at home is what you can use to do your poster. If you only have a piece of paper, then you can put it on a piece of paper. Whatever you have, no need to go out and buy anything for that. Okay, so remember, you're going to share this either on Flipgrid or you're going to share it at your morning meeting. So we look forward to seeing all those. All right, thanks, guys.